Welcome, everyone. This is Joe Bersace, your host and founder of Sprigo.com. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to share with us. My apologies go out to everyone who tried to log on online and was met with technological difficulties. We're going to have those worked out in the future. But let's go ahead and get into today's content. This is my phone number. Use it to send me text messages with your questions about this content or anything else related to the middle school or high school years. And I'll show it to you again, but go ahead and take that number down. Here are the three big questions that we're going to try and tackle today as we look forward in the calendar. Because as we get closer and closer to spring break, the tendency is to get further and further away from academic achievement, and kids lose the motivation, which causes frustration in a lot of parents' minds. This is what we want to prevent. Your child getting into a yelling match with you that kind of goes back and forth until everybody is completely at wit's end. Let's start with a blank slate, right? Right here. And here's the ideal, right? Everybody likes to think their son or daughter is sitting down at the kitchen table. It's an idyllic setting. Homework is getting done, and you don't even have to ask. Well, I don't know where that happens, because more than often, this is what the case is. Dazed and confused. We're not quite sure what's happening here, but something isn't getting done. So, let's get to this very first question. Alrighty, what is the greatest barrier? And if you have a response to this, you want to send it in to me, I'd love to hear it. I'm always looking for new information and feedback from parents. But these are the three that I get most often. Don't get it, don't want to get it, which is a question of motivation, as we'll see in just a moment. And the teacher doesn't like me, which I hear about as often as the first two. But we can work with this very first one, because honestly, your child doesn't get the information, they're not understanding it. There's something we can do. And I'm not going to advocate, however, that you fulfill the role of tutor. This can get you into some serious problems. Your child has had enough from you in the way of teaching about academics in school in the first 10, 11 years of their life. Let somebody else fill this role. The first person you're going to go to, of course, is the child's teacher. Send an email, leave a voicemail, let that person know what the difficulty is, and ask if your child can come in and spend a little bit of extra time. That's the person who understands the content the best. That's the person who's creating the test and the assignment, so why not start there? If that doesn't work out for you, if you feel like you just need a fresh perspective, then go for the tutor or the mentor or the coach. A couple of things to consider here. The tutor's experience varies from former teachers with advanced degrees all the way down to college students. You get what you pay for here, folks. And even though it's going to be expensive, I would sincerely recommend that you go with the person with the most experience, because they're going to be the one to best help your child learn the content. All right, tutoring works best, however, when it's short term. You've missed some content, you know that you're going to be out of town for a couple of weeks, or there's just something specific about a topic that you don't quite get. Works wonderfully. A short session, 60 minutes, 45 to 60. If you go longer than that, kids lose interest, they lose focus, because typically this happens after the school day is over anyway. And subject-specific tutors. Try and get someone that is knowledgeable in math, as opposed to somebody who's got expertise all across the board. You want something specific. All right, that's enough on tutoring. Let's get right into the second one. I don't want to get it. And this is the really frustrating one, right? Because it's more a question of motivation. And for a lot of kids, it's getting away from distraction and getting to the focus. But a lot of kids will say, you know what, so what? Where am I ever going to use this information? It doesn't mean anything to me. And we both know that, hey, it may not be applicable later in life, but it's part of the basic knowledge you have to have. So this is the expectation. And the expectation is you're going to get homework done and that I'm going to hold you accountable for this. All right, that is part one of this webinar. You're going to want to see part number 2, maybe even part number 3. So stay tuned.